Welcome to another episode of On My Bookshelf, and in this episode we're going to be looking at Sand by Anthony Lamb. I've been a fan of Anthony Lamb's photography for a little while now. His work really stands out, which is, let's face it, becoming an ever-increasing challenge as the Instagram feed gets busier and busier. But his unique style of photography means that it stands out and becomes very eye-catching in that busy feed. So when I heard that the folks over at Kozu Books were going to be publishing a book of his photographs, I knew I wanted to get it on my bookshelf. But now that I have it, what is it like? Let's look at the physical aspects of the book first. Like I said, it's been published by Kozu Books. Now they're a publishing house that are really bringing to life the work of so many high-profile photographers at the moment. Their lineup of books that they've got published and coming down the line is really quite amazing. And you may remember last year I actually looked at Rachel Talbot's Tides and Tempests. That was also published by Kozu Books, and that remains one of my favourite books from last year. Sand is a hardcover book, and the front cover has some really nice detail in there, particularly the use of foiling. And here you can see in the front cover you've got these beautiful golden lines there that represent a sand dune, and that's been set off really nicely with some gold foil in there. The book size itself is 290mm by 240mm and is about 160 pages long and printed on Fedrigoni matte paper. I have to say, the book has got a good size and weight about it. It really does feel like a book of substance. The book opens with a really fantastic quote that really helps put your mind in the right frame for viewing these types of photograph. And then you've got a foreword by Bruce Percy, who goes on to talk about the challenges of photographing in desert environments and also the challenges around creating these types of minimalistic shots that Anthony seems to so expertly craft. The book then has an introduction by Anthony himself, and this 3-page spread is well worth a read. Not only does Anthony go on to talk about how the deserts came to be, but he also talks about his history with photography and his relationship with the desert. And for me, I love reading these things. I love to get inside the mind of the photographer to understand what makes his photography tick and his relationship with the environment that he's photographing. The photographs in this book are then split out into 4 different collections. Why don't we take a look through the book and I'll highlight some of the ones that caught my eye. The first collection of photographs is called Desert Portraits. And as with all the other collections, it does have some opening text, which again is well worth a read as it helps encapsulate what that collection of photographs is about. There are so many standout images in this collection, such as this one here called The Unknown. This image has so much scale, and what I'm really drawn to is that rose gold colour of the dunes. It almost looks metallic, and then that's contrasted against the apparent softness of the tree. We then have this image called Repetition, and as the name indicates, it's all to do with the large dunes overlapping as they flow through the scene, creating a wonderful sense of depth. But more than that, it's the ripples in the dunes themselves that almost replicate what is happening on the larger dunes. It really is a photograph that rewards closer inspection. Finally, in Desert Portraits, we have this image called Two Peaks, and I love this image. It has everything. It has contrast, leading lines, peaks, curves, ripples. The more you look at it, the more you discover. The next collection is called Human Element, and in contrast to the previous collection, which focused on the flora and fauna of the desert environment, this collection focuses on the impact that humankind has had on the desert. And for me, it's one of the most fascinating collection of photographs in this book. The first picture I want to pick from this collection is called Desert Road. This photograph gives me the impression that because trees are so rare in the desert, that people do recognise them as being important. So they've split the road around this collection of trees and then rejoined it on the other side. The theme of divergent paths is almost replicated in the sky as the clouds branch off in different directions, just like the junctions of a road. Some images really get you to think, such as this one here called Power from Above. These electrical pylons seem to repeat off into the distance, perhaps forever. But what must it have been like to work on such a project, to build these pylons? What were the working conditions like? How long did it take? So while this image has a strong graphical element, it also raises a lot of questions. What is the story behind this scene? Saltation is a collection of photographs that Anthony captured during the Shamal Desert storms. These storms bring 30km/h winds, which you can imagine whips up billions of sand particles through the air and along the dunes. Unlike the previous collection of photographs which brought a sense of tranquility, stillness, calmness, this collection brings a sense of chaos, roughness and texture. In Desert in Transition, Anthony talks about how the deserts have changed over the millennia, but his collection of photographs very much focuses on those changes brought by more immediate things such as storms and rain. One of the changes that the rain brings is the marbling of the sand, as you can see in these two photographs here. The marbling effect only lasts a couple of days, but it really does change the look of the photographs that you would capture in this environment. Somehow the sand looks even denser and heavier. So is this a book for your bookshelf? Well, for me it's a resounding yes. There is so much to like about this book. The term fine art photography is often chucked about, but I think Anthony's photos really do fall into this category. I can just imagine myself having a very large print of one of these photographs and just staring at it and losing myself in it. The photographs aren't just technically perfect, but they reward those who spend the time to look at them. You get to pick out fine detail, patterns, shapes and lines are just some of the rewards you can get from being immersed in this body of work. These aren't the types of photographs that I would take, but it's for that reason that I love this book so much. It's a really big departure from the types of photographs that I capture and the views that I see, but I love the way that it can expand my photography horizons. There's always something to learn and to appreciate from photographs like this. I've been trying not to expand my bookshelf too much this year, but I'm certainly glad I found space for this title. I do hope you've enjoyed this look at Sand by Anthony Lamb. If you want to get your own copy, you can do so directly from Kozu Books. I'll include a link for that in the video description below. But if you've got an extra few minutes, why not check out another episode of On My Bookshelf? I'm including a playlist in the corner of the screen just now. But until the next video, I'll see you then.